The following program does not necessarily represent the views and opinions of Reality Radio 101, its advertisers and sponsors, or its listening audience. Listener discretion is advised. Good afternoon and welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts Fred and Janet Cox right here on Reality Radio 101. To get on board right now, send us an email. Our email address is liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, right to your hosts of the Liquid Green Health Show, Fred and Janet Cox.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. This is the Liquid Green Health Show. It's 5:30 p.m. It is Sunday, October the 16th, and a warm welcome to the Liquid Green Health Show for everyone, to all our listeners in Toronto, across Canada, the United States, around the world. Thank you for allowing us into your private space. Today's show is sponsored by Liquid Green Products, producers of eco-superior green cleaning products for your home, office, car, and pets. And if you're not using these eco-superior green products, then just what in the world are you using to clean your home? Go to our website at liquidgreenproducts.com, click on the products you would like to try, and don't forget to enter that promo code, which is going to be ending this week, RR101, and get yourself that huge discount, right? I said huge discount, all right? So this is a live broadcast, as like every Sunday, it is a live broadcast.
Can you imagine since January?
Since January, we've been here,
since
folks,
the second week in
trolling
January.
along every Sunday, bringing you good news.
Mid-October, wow.
Yep. And like all previous broadcasts, we can be found on the following platforms: Spotify, Facebook, YouTube. All you have to do is to type in Liquid Green Health Show, and it's going to come up on Facebook. It's Liquid Green Products Inc. That's where you'll go to find us. On YouTube, Liquid Green Health Show. Like, share, comment, subscribe. We want to hear from you. Send us that email at liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. Write us, let us know where you are listening from, and we'll read your email. We'll read your email on the air.
I wonder if we'll get any jokes today.
No,
like not on this topic.
No
right?
jokes. No, this is a serious topic. Serious topic today, right?
Mm-hmm.
Today's broadcast, like all our broadcasts, is for education and entertainment purposes only, designed to stimulate the mind and help bring us one step closer to living a healthier lifestyle. It's been over 40 years since this month has been designated as Breast Cancer Month.
Oh, before you start, last week we talked about, let's be fair here, right?
Yep.
Last week we talked about, forgot to turn his phone off, right?
Yep. Forgot about that one.
Yeah. We talked about the Jays and their playoff, what do you call that? Playoffs,
yes.
Right? And how disappointing that was for Toronto fans. But then we have the Leafs. The Maple Leafs are for Toronto anyway.
Mm-hmm.
The Maple Leafs had their home opener.
I don't know. I don't even watch them anymore.
I am getting interested in hockey, not because I love hockey, but because of my son, Kofi. He is so distraught, like all these hundreds and thousands of fans who every year are so disappointed. What's your bet this year? Do you think they'll make it?
I think they'll end up doing exactly what they've been doing for the last 70 whatever years.
No, Kofi says they have a great team.
Yeah, they always have a great team.
But they lost against Montreal first, right?
Yeah.
They lost against Montreal their first game, but then they won the next
losers, born
anyway,
losers.
Anyway, so for a topic, as you were saying about...
Yeah, as I was saying, we are in the smack dab middle of October. And for the past 40 years, this month has been designated as Breast Cancer Month. And so, you know, we thought it would be the best thing to do on at least one of the shows for this month is to talk about issues, highlight issues that are of very, very importance to this particular subject. So that is how we're going to be, you know. Now, I have to give the caveat, we are not doctors, but we've done a little bit of research. We are information gatherers and we are purveyors of that information to our audience. And so what are we going to be discussing today are issues that are relevant to this particular condition that is affecting so many people, both men and women.
Mostly women.
Mostly women, but men too, right? And so we're going to address these topics, right?
And we want the emails, right? When we sent out our promo telling about the show this week, we did ask folks to, if you have an encouraging story that you think our audience, our listening audience would love to hear, that it would, you know, motivate, uplift. Sometimes you don't know what is said that resonates with someone who's listening. And we're hoping we'll get some of those emails later today. All right.
Now, let's get right into it. Let's put our feet right into the water and ask the big question: what is breast cancer? Right? Now, a lot of people, unless you've been living in a cupboard like Mother Hubbard, and you probably never heard about it. This is something that is being talked about, you know, especially this month. It's been
not just breast cancer, but
all cancers.
Cancer, period.
But I mentioned breast cancer because I mean breast cancer because
no,
the
I
month
would
is
right.
designated
I'm
to
saying
that.
that in addition to what you're saying, not in opposed to what you're saying.
Now, breast cancer is a disease in which malignant cells, cancer cells, are formed in the body. And, you know, they lodge themselves into the tissue of the breast. That's basically what it is, right? And it could be devastating if it's not detected early and if it's not treated properly, right? And there are many causes of breast cancer. All right. Statistics says that 1 in 8 women will be diagnosed with breast cancer in her lifetime. So it is very important to be proactive about your health. I never knew that was a kind of that kind of statistic.
And in 2022, here we go with a little bit more statistics. It says that an estimated 287,500 new cases of invasive breast cancer will be diagnosed in women in the US.
That's the US.
We didn't find the Canadian statistics, but can you imagine?
Right? I think it will be, it might not be as many, but its statistics in Canada is just as alarming here in Canada as well.
And as we said, men do also get breast cancer, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's this mythical belief out there that men don't get breast cancer, but
and the statistics on that says it's 2,710. I don't know how they come up with those numbers to be so exact.
You mean diagnosed or
will be diagnosed with breast cancer. But you can see the disparity with the numbers, right? 2,000 men as opposed to 287.
But it is also more deadly in men because men tend to not take it as serious as women who would, you know, discover a blemish on any one of the breasts, and they would immediately start, you know, doing some kind of proactive treatment. But whereas men would think of it as just a lump, right, and we bypass it.
So the good thing is, though, the survival rate. The survival rate for breast cancer is pretty high if people are proactive and if they catch it on time.
Right. And I think that would be for just about all conditions,
right?
Or all disease, right? Now, we also know that there are different types of breast cancer, right? Now, I want to again put this information out there, folks. We are not doctors, right? So a lot of the things that you may want to hear on this topic, we are not privy, we're not educated enough to address those issues. But,
We
we've done a little
share
bit of
as we
research,
learn,
right?
right?
And as I said earlier, this show is just for information and educational purposes only. So we're just passing on to you information that we have done ourselves, and hope that this would trigger something in you that you would want to delve into the topic a little deeper and to protect yourself, to be a little more proactive. So there are different types of breast cancers, right? There's one that's called ductal carcinoma in situ, or DCIS, and this is by far the most common form of breast cancer. But apart from that, there are other types that are less commonly seen, such as the invasive ductal carcinoma, inflammatory breast cancer, and metastatic breast cancer.
And I think
Right.
the metastatic for any cancer, in the beginning, it's localized.
Okay.
But as it starts to metastasize, then that's when it spreads, like prostate.
That's the spreading.
It metastasizes, and then it can spread to other organs. And that's what the doctors are really trying with the early detection to stop the metastasizing of the cancer.
So early detection is key.
Critical.
Is key to it. All right. And according to the American Cancer Society, when breast cancer is detected early, and it is in the localized stage, that 5-year relatively survival rate is almost 100%.
So what can women expect with the signs like the breast cancer? How do you know you have it? What did we find on that?
There are some symptoms. I'm not quite sure what the symptoms are, but
well, first of all, how do they detect? If you think it's self-examination, right? And of course, that's the first thing women should do, not just periodically, but on a regular basis.
Okay.
And they suggest, we women, I'm sure most of us do this, either in the shower, or you can lie on your bed, or, in front of the mirror. And it's just a matter of, dare I say, play with yourself, right? Not exactly, right? But you're examining and getting familiar with your breasts, so that if you notice any changes, some people get so scared, they feel a lump and they think, oh my God, breast cancer. Yeah. It's not necessary. It's not necessarily that. But at least, if there's a change, that's when you go quickly and check and make sure that, you talk with the physicians. What is this? Then you get screened.
What about pain? Yeah. What about stuff like pain and stuff?
It can be
which
painful,
can cause some
sore,
kind of discomfort.
Or there's oozing from the nipples.
Right.
Right.
What about things like cysts and stuff?
Right.
Like you said, if there's a lump, while doing the self-examination, if you find a lump, it wouldn't necessarily mean that it's cancerous, but it means that you should investigate. You should investigate it further.
The big thing is fear, right? We were listening to one of our favorite people, George C. Fraser.
Yes.
And he was talking generally about the power of the mind. I know we always go back to the power of the mind, right? He says, only we have the power over our minds, right? And that means we're not controlled. We shouldn't be controlled by outside events, right? We must, if we realize this, then that will be the source of our strength.
Yes.
Right?
And
to have the power. So when you hear that, or let's say you've done your mammogram. Let's talk about that.
No,
what are some of
before you get that, let me just touch on what he's saying. Fear can have such a devastating effect on the way you approach life forward, because the minute you suspect, even before a diagnosis, the minute you suspect that this lump or this pain or this discharge that you might be getting from a nipple can be cancerous, that, I don't know, something happens in the body, that energy that is called fear causes a lot of disruption. And that could lead to a lot of things. That could lead to the breakdown of
more quickly.
Yeah, much faster than if you didn't experience that
Great.
condition. So,
And today, like something else that George Fraser said, he said, life is about overcoming, right? And today, we're going to talk with someone. She's going to visit with us for a short time because yesterday I was talking with a friend, Barbara. Hey, big up Barbara Stewart. And no relative of hers, but I was talking to her about the show today. And just asking, do you know anybody who has survived cancer, breast cancer? And she says, oh, yes, there is a friend, and I'm sure she will talk with you. So just yesterday, we had the pleasure, Mike, if you can bring on Joan, if she can hear us. Joan, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so this is Joan Stewart. And Joan, we're so happy. I just shared with our listening audience the fact that, you know, you're home and that you were so willing on short notice to talk with us. And so we want to welcome you to the Liquid Green Health Show. And we're just going to ask you, just talk with you about some of your journey. For example, how did you find out? Because that's one of the things that we just talked about, right? People don't know, and sometimes they wait too long because they don't know. We know there is the mammograms that we should be getting mammograms. How often? What does your doctor say? How often should we be getting mammograms?
Well, when I was diagnosed, I was technically too young.
Okay.
For a mammogram. I did not feel a lump. I was not one at that time who would actively play with my breast, for lack of a better word, to feel for lumps or anything like that. I had an intuition. My mind kept telling me that I should go and ask for it. Now I approached 3 different doctors, and the third one said yes. And it was someone who I'd worked with in the past, and she said yes. And we did the mammogram, and they found 3 lumps.
Okay. Do they call them cysts at this point, or lumps?
Cysts
or what
at the time. They said cysts. Cysts was the words that were used.
Okay.
They did that, and then they biopsied them. And the smallest of the 3 did show that there was cancer.
Okay, so now we're going to go back and forth with this because there's a mammogram, there's MRI. I think if you do a mammogram and they see anything suspicious, they can reconfirm with an MRI.
I had an ultrasound done.
Or an ultrasound or the biopsy.
I had an ultrasound done. I had them all. I had an ultrasound done.
Okay.
And I had a biopsy done. And I also had an MRI done.
Oh, wow. So you had the full gamut.
I had an amazing team that did
yes.
I had an amazing team. Yes.
Wow. And good, you talk about the team. So who are the members of the team?
Well, it started out with basically my family doctor, obviously. And I was referred to a general surgeon who, and when I got it, I was so shocked. I wasn't expecting that news. They didn't tell me what it was. They just told me I needed to go see a general surgeon. And I didn't, I couldn't get a hold of my doctor's office to find out why I needed to see a general surgeon. So So
does that create more fear when you're not knowing? Or would you have rather if they told you?
I got a little anxious.
Okay.
But to backtrack, while I was doing the ultrasound, the technicians keep saying to me that they needed to get their supervisors advised as to whether or not the pictures that they had taken were correct. And that's where I got suspicious. So in the back of my mind, I kind of knew, I didn't accept it, but I knew something wasn't right.
Okay.
When I got the call for the general surgeon, I had a 2-minute cry.
Right. You know, that moment for people, oh my goodness. I hope I never ever
traumatic.
have that. But that moment, that is your life. It is such a life changing decision.
Big time.
Right. And I work with people. I work in a setting where there are a lot of people coming in that I can't afford to see me losing it. So you have to, that 2 minutes was really 2 minutes. Dry your eyes and get on with it. So I called the hospital and I get a copy of my report. And I took the report with me to a general surgeon that worked next door to where I was. And I didn't say anything to the person that worked behind that desk. I just handed the report to them and they said, come back in 15 minutes. And my journey began from there.
Okay.
I consulted with her. She felt my breath. She said she didn't feel anything. Maybe it was to reassure me. Okay. She sent me down to get a scan done. I had a CT scan as well. Ran down to get a CT scan. And then the following day I had to work. And then we went downstairs. I work inside of a hospital. So I was up and down doing all of these things.
So at that time, this must be very emotional, disturbing,
yes, but like
confusing.
I said, I am working with others who have their own problems.
But what are you thinking? You're going through this, you have to go to work, you have a family to look after. What's going through your mind at this time?
You gotta focus on something other than yourself. There are times when you go to work and you have issues, right? You do, but you have to remember that you're serving a public that sometimes they have their own issues. They don't necessarily want to deal with your issue, or you don't want to burden them with your issue. So that was how I started out my journey. And then I would come home and I look around me. I have 5 children.
Oh, wow. How old are they? What's your eldest?
He's now 32.
Oh, wow. You look so young. Oh, my goodness.
But my youngest is 13. At the time, he was 4, I believe.
Okay.
Was there at any point in time when you're going through this, and especially in the early stages, that this could possibly be your last, few years? You're on your last leg. Did you entertain that fear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not for any length of time. Like, I'm weird. I think I would lie there in my bed and I'll start thinking, what will happen to my kids? And then I start imagining my own funeral. I said, what? Nuh-uh.
Okay, great. And that's when you...
that's what I say. It's like a moment. No way. Absolutely not. I'm not ready.
Now...
See, that is good mind control.
Yeah.
That right there, you're telling whatever it is that is attacking your body, it ain't going to take this body.
That's right.
And yesterday when I spoke to you, that's what I wanted to come out.
Yes.
For listeners, because it is not necessarily a death sentence. No, there are treatments, there's surgery, there's radiation, there is hormone therapy, there's chemotherapy, there's a barrage of different things. There's holistic treatments.
Yeah, they're all of these treatments that's available.
Yeah.
But the individual is being faced with this traumatic condition has got to program the mind that this is not going to happen to me. You're not part of me. And that's what you do.
Yes, your surroundings are those who are around you. It's very important. My aunt, when I looked at her, and she was with me, thank you very much. She was with me throughout my journey to every appointment. And she's always crying.
Oh, for you?
Yeah.
And I'm you're not.
Crying. I'm not crying.
Wow.
I said, okay, so she's crying. There's no need for me to cry.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
What treatment did you get? I know you were drastic, right? You approached this in a no-nonsense way.
Right. So I had to wait to find out if I had insurance coverage, basically things like that to cover the medication and insurance for, or the type of chemo. I didn't even know there was different types of chemo. There was a chemo that was, the doctors had according to them, I believe they said they applied for it. It was denied. I didn't get it.
A pill that you can take at home, that one?
I'm not sure what it is. No, a chemo, the actual treatment itself.
Right. Okay.
So anyway, the one that they had applied for that wasn't granted, they did end up giving it to me anyway. So I took that, and then there's a pill that you take after chemo.
Okay.
And you administer that yourself at home.
That's what I was thinking of. Right. Okay.
Injections. Mine was an injection. So you do that at home yourself. And that's for like 3 weeks, and then you take another round. However, I did, on my first round of chemo, I was introduced to a young doctor who would be, I don't remember his name, who would be my radiation therapist after my chemo was completed. He was removed from my case because he was transferred to another facility. And God is great. This young man called the hospital. I don't know how he remembered who I was, but he called and asked them to do a genetics test on me.
Okay. And now, why is that important, especially for you? Why was that so important?
For me, there wasn't much to go on other than the fact that I believe my mother had it, my aunt had it, 2 of my maternal aunts had it, and I believe my mother had it. And I really, I did told the doctors these things, and that I believe he read in my file. I was on the last treatment. I was about to take the last treatment of my chemo when he asked them to do this. So they were all rushing around trying to get this done. It was done. And when they found out that I had the BRCA1 gene, then they had to change things. So now they're telling me that because of this gene,
what's it called?
BRCA1.
BRCA, BR, you know?
BRCA, I think. BRCA, BRCA1 gene.
Okay.
So genetic testing, things like that, they did all of that. Yes, and they found out that this is what the case was for me.
That's
so
your family trait, right?
Right.
That's how you decide that it's
so
a family
now
trait.
They had to scrap the radiation thing, because now they're telling me that I have to consider breast
surgery. Okay.
It was in one breast, my left breast. It wasn't in both. However, what I was told was if it should come back, and it could because of this gene, it most likely would go to my other breast.
Okay.
If both was to come off and it should come back, it's usually within your cervix of some form. This is what they're telling me.
So this is when it metastasizes, that the next time it could hit the cervix. Oh, cervix. Wow. Okay. Wow.
And usually, this is what I was told. Usually, if that happens, it might be too late by the time you discover it for any treatment to be effective.
Wow. So what did you do?
Well, I said, well, I don't really need them.
You're not breastfeeding, right?
Well, either way. So, I said, I will, yes, we'll have them removed. Okay. I decided instead of one, well, can you imagine walking around with one breast? I said, no, take them both off.
And, for so many people, that is so difficult. I think a lot of women must struggle with this, right? And some women are into the aesthetics. If they're married, what would my husband say? Like all sorts of thoughts will come, right?
Yes, it does.
My hair falling off.
But remember, they're losing a part of the body that cannot be replaced naturally, right? And so it's an adjustment to life. It's very similar to a male having to undergo prostate cancer, that fear that goes through.
But no, it's different. Well, this is between you and I.
I'm talking about the psychological.
Correct.
Effects.
But no, what I'm thinking here is that chopping off your breast would be equivalent to a man chopping off the penis.
Yes.
And men would probably die rather than lose that organ.
Because of the important role it plays.
So this is what I am saying. So women tend to be more, what's the word? We tend to be more wise or I don't know. We are.
Yeah, I think it's the emotional part of it. I think a lot of women, yes, do think about their spouses or boyfriends,
Or
and
what will it look like
Especially-
what
after?
will it look
especially-
like?
Yeah,
But
and at the age that it's being done too.
Yeah. Okay.
yes,
Right.
So
yes.
what does it look like after? How do you get along? What do they do in terms of cosmetics?
Now, hold your thought. Before you answer that question, I would like to go to some emails because we have quite a few emails that's coming in. So hold your thought and we'll get back to the question. This is from Eric. Hello, Fred and Janet. You are so right. A very important topic today, but for my joke, okay.
The Leafs suck.
Leafs suck.
I agree. My son threw out his jersey, but I went and picked it up, and he didn't know. But now he says the jersey is good luck. I said it's not the jersey. You paid good money for that, or it was a gift, whatever.
Here's another email from Anne. She says, LOLG from New York City. I know 3 women that had this horrible disease. However, they are all doing well thanks to excellent healthcare and follow-up. Get your exams. That's a message
I'd
to
like to
all our
just
listeners.
mention with this email. Could you go back to that for a minute?
Yeah.
She mentioned a couple of things.
Mhm.
They're doing well thanks to excellent healthcare. Critical. In Canada, I know we at least you don't have to be burdened with the cost.
Yes.
In the US, I know they have some issues with healthcare. I think they're working on that, right?
Yeah.
But you mentioned your team, your doctor, etc., right? And you mentioned your family. So the team, and I'm sure you have friends as well, Joan, that, it's such a big group that everybody is connected and everybody is trying to help. And you can't, because this is something you don't want to do alone, right?
So
No.
I'm gonna answer the question.
No,
Remember the
go
question?
do another couple of emails and we'll come back.
Okay,
to the
here's one
question.
from Brian, and he says, hello, Fred and Janet Cox. We are always afraid of the unknown. But in fact, regarding breast cancer, most lumps are just benign cysts in the breast.
Thank you for
But
that.
it is so
True.
important to get it checked. Don't hesitate. Early detection is the
It's
key.
And
Thank you
that's
for
what
that,
we say
Brian.
over and over and
Yeah.
over.
Early detection. Any
Yeah.
condition, early detection. Here's another one from Steve. Steve says, hello, LG. What a story. Heartbreaking. Thank you for the courage to share.
And so now with that, we're going to come back to you, Joan, because we're only the beginning of your story, right? So you were going to tell us what happens after. What does it look like? How do you cope with having both breasts removed? What did the doctors do to help? How do you, lots of women don't know this. So thank you.
Well, because I had my cervix total hysterectomy as well as the double mastectomy, and they all had to be done because of the BRCA1 gene. All of it had to be done within the time frame that the chemo was still in my body.
Okay.
So within a 3-week span, I'd have to have both those surgeries done.
Oh my
but
goodness.
What do they look like prior to? Now I forget what it's called. How I had to grow my own skin.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So if saline is pumped into your breasts every couple of weeks, that's painful.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
See, I didn't.
Pumped in to grow your skin.
Okay.
But
you mean
like I said,
it will grow the skin around that area?
Right. And then you do the surgery, reconstructive surgery. However, but like I said, excellent doctors, communicate with them. I wasn't afraid to talk to my doctors. I laughed. I didn't take it. It is a serious thing, but I didn't embrace it as if it was the end of me.
Great.
I had things to do.
Yeah.
Not that if anything come looking for you, they care about what you have to do. But
you have
what
a
I
life
meant
to live.
was my focus was my children. I worked throughout once I started treatment, I stopped working, but my kids were a priority for me at the time. I went back to work within 8 months. So everything that was done, I was back to work within 8 months.
That's awesome. Unbelievable.
I was down the hall from the surgeon and she sent a few people to the office I worked in for me to show them my breasts.
Okay.
So quite a lot of people saw them.
Now,
so
go ahead.
you had a purpose for living. right? And that's what drove you. That's what
I
kept
think
you
so,
going.
yes.
You had a purpose, you had a desire, and you had an intention that you are going to survive this disease, or
yes,
whatever
like
they
I
want
said,
to
it's
call it.
surroundings. When you
Yeah.
see other people who are going through what you've gone through, you stop thinking about you.
Yeah.
So you empathize with another person and you encourage them.
What about group? What do you call it? Group therapy, like when you get together.
No,
Did you do that?
I
No.
did not know. The only group I went to is when we got the diagnosis. They had a class where they taught you how to do head wraps and what wigs would look like, prosthetic bras and things like that. I did have a class, and they provide you a little little care packages with makeup and things like that. They tell you you're going to lose your lashes, you're going to lose your eyebrows, you're going to lose your hair and all that type of thing. And they would teach you how to do your makeup to enhance or to, your beauty and things like that.
I'm going to share something as well. My eldest sister, Judith, and my mom had 3 of us in 2 years and 9 months. So she was an elder sister, but not that old, right? Not that much older than I. So she would have been 2 years and 9 months older. And she succumbed to breast cancer at the age of 54.
Wow.
And that was the first anybody in our family, we're talking about from generations going back, that was the first incidence of any kind of cancer. And she was in tip-top shape. When I tell you, Judith was the sister who would exercise long before it became popular. She wouldn't eat the white sugar, the white bread, the white flour, She was very proactive. She looked awesome. And then she was sick, and the doctors couldn't figure out for months what was going on. They were treating her thinking she had pneumonia. And guess what? When one doctor said to her, if they've given you this for pneumonia and you still have that cough, it's not. Let me send you to the cancer clinic. And that's when she found out she had stage 4 cancer at the age of 54, and they gave her about 3 to 4 months to live. When around the time when I was turning 54, I was like, oh my goodness. So even though it didn't run in our family, there's these stresses that come to you, And she lived for a year and a half after that. But our family, there was another sister, Joan, who was quite supportive. She has 3 beautiful adult children. And when I tell you that's the first close death in our family, it was devastating. We have had other people die, of course, but not from cancer, right? And today we are talking about cancer. Just recently, we had another cousin, and she also passed away in Chicago, and she has left 3 young kids. And again, she had mastectomy, radiation. So when you're a survivor and you can tell the story, it is so encouraging. So what are you doing now? What's the prognosis for the future?
I'm still working. I'm still taking care of children.
Yeah.
What do I say? I'm stumped with that one. I'm living life.
One day at a time.
What she has done, as Dr. Fraser says, life is hard.
Yeah.
And so you have to choose your heart.
That's right.
And so she has chosen the right type of heart.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. To survive this.
And he basically says you got to just do what you love with the people you love.
Yes.
I think so often people lose track of that.
Yeah.
Right, Fred Cox? I'm going to Jamaica tomorrow.
Folks, you just saw that, right? Abuse. Right.
So do what you love with the people you love. He's not coming, but not a sign that I don't love you, right? But my school,
it's a sign that you just want to get away from me. That's all it is.
Westwood High School turns 140 years this week. And students, it's an all-girls boarding school in Jamaica, one of the best, if I can say. And they turn out really remarkable ladies. Good self-plug right there, right? But there's going to be girls, old and young, from all over the world that are coming to this reunion. And I just decided this week that, you know what, I really want to go. So I'm taking that opportunity to live as if we don't have control over tomorrow.
Live
right?
as if there's no tomorrow. That's
or that you don't have control, but you have to make some preparations for tomorrow. I know you're not talking about
No, you make
this before.
preparation for the moment. Anyway, that's a different topic.
But you made the
she's
tough
made the preparation,
decisions,
yeah.
right? You made the tough decisions and you have overcome.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So what are some of the myths? We've been talking about, you know, the experience and stuff like that, but there are a lot of myths about breast cancer. You know, things like number one, that men don't get breast cancer, right? That's a huge myth. And there's no truth to that, because we know, based on the research that we have done, that breast cancer is men can get breast cancer, right? And when they do get it, it's not nice. When it's discovered, it is not nice. All right. So
and there's some questions like milk. Some people believe if you drink too much milk, that could lead to breast cancer.
I don't know how true that is.
I think they're studying that I think it says there's limited evidence suggesting that higher intake of dairy milk were associated with greater risk of breast cancer. So that's not necessarily a myth.
Yeah, I don't
right?
know.
But
I know people drink milk all their lives and nothing. There's another myth about a mammogram can cause breast cancer to spread. And but again, that's a myth.
Joan, mammograms, they're painful. I know I try to not go as much as I should, but what do you say to women? Should we really go and do this mammogram every year, every 2 years?
I believe so. Like I said, your team, your doctors are there to protect you, basically. I mean, they're there. It's a service they provide to you. They have the knowledge that we don't have. So it's important to listen to them. It's important to converse with them, right? Ask questions. But my aunt asked all of my questions. I didn't ask any. She asked all of them.
Right.
But this is important. It's very important. A lot of us walk around, like I said, I was perfectly healthy. I had no need to go to the doctor. Nothing. I ate my Twinkies and drink my coffee and off I go.
There you go. You were eating Twinkies. That'll do it.
My Twinkies, drank my coffee, off my go.
Coffee, that will do it. Oh dear.
No, I'm going to ask it's not a silly question, but it's a kind of a silly question.
Okay.
Yeah, but
a funny question?
No, okay. Is breast cancer contagious?
No.
That's one of the myths out there. Yeah. Right? It's one of the myths.
Yeah.
We know that you can't catch it. You can't catch no cancer at all.
No, right?
Right? Or you can't transfer it to someone else's body.
Right? The thing is, disease has no preference. Disease has no
precisely.
Yeah.
You know, it's what it is.
You know, I'm thinking back. I also have a sister-in-law that survived breast cancer, and she's in Texas. And with her, she was very upset because she says, I have had a mammogram for every year. Like, she was one of those people that did not miss, and yet it went undetected. You know? So when she found out eventually, after having done a mammogram every year, she you know what? I'm not sure if she did mastectomy. I'm not sure, but she's a survivor as well, right? But stress. How much does stress?
Stress is a major factor.
Yeah.
Yes, stress is a major factor. Sugar, apparently.
Nutrition, bad nutrition, like so many other diseases, right?
Environmental exposures and stuff like that. All right, those are some of the risk factors. Lifestyle choices,
the endocrine
chemical exposures in development of breast cancer is very prevalent. The prevention strategies can be lower If it's, if you take good care of yourself, you have things like endocrine disrupting chemicals.
Like in their cleaning products.
Yeah, they are known to contribute to the development of breast cancer, and they're found in foods, not just in the chemical products that we use to clean our home, in body products, right? The soaps, so many things. The face creams, the lipstick, and all those things. They have these disrupting chemicals, these endocrine disrupting chemicals in them. So, and because women use a lot of these things, right, they are more prone to being infected with these cancerous cells.
There's something else, and that has to do with contraceptives, oral contraceptives. And what they say is that there is an increased risk of breast cancer for women who have been using birth control pills for more than 5 years.
Wow.
Right? So I don't know. Did that factor with you at all?
I have 5 kids. I don't think so.
Good answer.
Would you have in retrospect, would you have any idea as to what could have triggered it, or you just put it on the gene that was discovered?
I was stressed during the time when I discovered that I have mine. That could be. I'm not going to say that's what it was. I did have the gene. Like I mentioned, I had 2 other aunts that had one they said was lung cancer. One was breast cancer. And when I tell people this, sometimes they think that maybe I'm weird. The thing is with me, like I said, I didn't feel anything. I didn't discover any lump. I was healthy as far as I knew. Right. I just had this nagging thought, like I just needed to go do this.
Yeah. That's intuition.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I followed through. And you have to be persistent. In healthcare, though we have excellent doctors, you have to be your own advocate. You have to be very persistent.
Yes, they say you can't prevent it. If it's going to be your
no,
life,
you can't
prevent it.
Nothing. Yes.
But I do believe, like when you look at the arsenal of things that I know we take, Dr. Fred here, we really try holistically to do as much as possible in terms of boosting the immune system. You know, we've had people on the show, different people talking about immunicol that we take to boost the system. And just yesterday we met with a gentleman, Clyde, from another company. Arlene was on and she talked about what was company, Green World.
Yeah.
And some of the products they have, cordyceps, etc. These are things that so many people don't know about. Right? So it's not as if we should just go along, just not doing anything. What would you say that, what are the doctors telling you now? What do you do for the rest of your life in terms of nutrition, exercise, anything special?
Maintenance.
Well, the doctors they do advise you to eat healthy, like with everyone. I'm sure everyone knows without anyone having to tell them that what you put into your body has an effect on your body.
You are what you eat.
Right. Right. For me personally, that there isn't really any follow-up.
No follow-up.
No follow-up for me because I am not one, because I have the gene. I can't take, they give this pill for 5 years after cancer treatment. I can't take that because I have that gene.
Okay.
Right.
Now, what about your sisters, your family? Do you have other sisters?
Now, because I have the gene, yes, because I have the gene, each one of my children, male and female, as well as my siblings, all must get checked.
Okay.
So
you were the guinea pig.
And that's,
I was the guinea pig.
And that is a very aggressive gene.
And if they do what you did, they'll be fine.
That gene, once you've been diagnosed with it, it's a likelihood of 40 to 85% for developing breast cancer in your lifetime. It's a very aggressive form of cancer.
Oh my goodness, look at the time.
Let me just get to a few more emails. Here's one from Ray. Hello, Janet and Frederick. I am saddened by this topic, but we can learn from it. Thanks for bringing it to light.
Yes, and thank you to
Thank
Joan for speaking so candidly
Yes.
about your story.
And as I
right? It's
said
not
from the
easy.
onset of the show, we're not doctors. We just do the research and we bring the information to you. And I hope that, you know, it is, some people are finding it very informative. There's one from Beth. What a show today, Cox. Is very beautiful. Thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
And we have one from Walt. Hi, Janet. The milk thing is a myth. But what is not a myth is that most women do not bear children get breast cancer. A large percentage of women can get breast cancer that get breast cancer are in the gay lesbian community. And this is so sad as well. Now, I'm not too sure about that, but
that is something that, you know, I would love to get a doctor to find out if that's true. But I'm wondering is because the breast is not being used like, you know, breastfeed. I don't know. It sounds plausible, but I don't know.
It sounds interesting. And it's something that we probably should look into for another show. But thanks very much for that, Walt.
Yeah.
Very informative. Right. Okay. So what else you want to talk about?
So Arlene, at this point, we're just going to thank you. Anything special before you leave us that you'd like to just share to all the women out there who are just walking around oblivious that there might be something lurching in their background health? I know for Black women, I know when we get cancer, it's usually more aggressive.
And this does seem like a very aggressive type of cancer that she had. And fortunately, she was wise enough to do what she did.
Be proactive.
To be a bit proactive and get it.
Any words for our listeners as you leave?
Well, if I can encourage anyone is try. I mean, eating healthy for a lot of us it's hard. My advice is in regards to healthy eating, because I struggle with it. I love sugar. I struggle. I love it.
You gotta have that sweet tooth. You gotta have that cookie.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, a lot of us approach healthy, go cold turkey then. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Slowly and gradually cut things out. And before you know it, it is your lifestyle. And just love people. See people the way you would want them to see you. Yeah. And that will help with stress, I think.
Any plans for travel in the future?
I would love to come with you right now.
Yeah, I got a good fare. Fare.
Listen to your doctors, you know, listen to your doctors. Just be out there.
But most importantly, listen to your body.
Listen to your body, listen to your doctors.
And the last thing I'm going to say to all our listeners, women especially, the resources, there is a wealth of resources out there. Where would you recommend, Joan? Where do people start? Do you just go to the internet, or do you start with your family doctor?
I don't advise the internet to anyone who thinks they have a problem. I believe the internet causes more anxiety because when you start Googling something, everything you see, you can identify with it.
Yeah.
It heightens your anxiety.
Yeah.
So my advice is you go to your doctor, ask them for information, ask them where you can access the information. It's better to talk to them about it.
That's after you've been diagnosed or you figure there might be something. But for people with not a care in the world, like, you know, they're not thinking anything about this.
Well, for cancer, they have Cancer Society. You can get information from them. But to Google something, I would not do that.
But then when I say Google, you can go online and get information from the Cancer Society, right?
Yes, right. But if you Google like a symptom that you may have.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
Let the doctor tell you what that symptom is.
Let the doctor explain that to you.
Yes.
If you want information on something, go to the proper source.
But I always thought the doctors then go to Google.
That's how it is now, right? That's how it is now.
But anyway, so thank you again.
Oh, this has been
And,
wonderful.
yeah.
Thank you for taking the time.
Yes.
Thank you for your bravery to tell us your story, to tell the world your story. And thank you also for
The world according to the Liquid Green Health Show.
yeah,
Well, we are global, right?
yes, yes. And
Okay.
this has been wonderful. I've learned a lot,
Yeah.
and I've seen someone that has told the enemy no.
Yeah.
You're not
And
gonna take
I
control
did
of me.
not do my mammogram this year. I'm like overdue 2 years. So you know what? When I come back, I'm gonna go.
But I
book the
can always do your
appointment.
mammogram for you.
Well, Frederick, that's something you mentioned. You said you were reading about that.
Yeah.
That men, they need to like
Yeah, play with the breasts more often.
Yeah,
it's
and,
October month, so
suck the
it's our
breast.
time to start,
yeah,
doing
you were
things.
saying too physically, like no
Yeah.
joke, that if your partner does suck your breast, manipulate your breast.
Yeah, stimulate
That
it. Let the
stimulates
blood comes to the fore and things. So
So there we go.
I have large hands. I have large hands.
And I have small breasts. So
Gary,
there we go.
I
Too
need
much
your help here,
information.
Gary.
Too much information. So here we go. All right. Thank you, Joan. Have a
this has
wonderful
been
rest of the evening.
wonderful.
You as well. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So
Yes.
Frederick, what's coming up next week?
Thank you. Take care.
Yeah,
Great.
you take
Bye.
care and stay well. Stay healthy and maintain that positive
Yes.
attitude that you have.
Yeah, we
It's-
choose our battles.
Thank
right?
you.
Thank you very much.
Choose your heart.
Good night. Take care.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Thanks.
bye now.
Bye-bye.
Um,
Next week, I don't know. What are we talking about next week?
I
You have
don't
a
know.
blank slate next week?
No, well, I'm
you're not
going to
gonna
be
be here.
away, but I am going to be, hopefully, I know we have a full, from Thursday to Sunday at Westwood, we have a full program, including the oldest party, the gala,
So
the
you're going to be
visit to the school,
broadcasting from the
a
gala?
church.
Is that it?
No, not from the gala, but we'll let you know during the week what we have planned.
But you're
right?
going to a reunion that is celebrating 140 years.
Yep.
Which is a bunch of old people going to be there.
Oh, no. Remember, some people graduated
Oh.
last year. Some people, it's not only for the old folks who are going, but I'm hoping, I don't know if I'll see anybody from my year, which was 1970. Oh my goodness, did I say that publicly?
Yeah, so,
Graduated in the class of 1970.
Yeah.
So,
what I
you-
really enjoyed about today's show
Mhm.
is how calm and how collective
Humble.
she was,
Yeah,
and how
Joan.
humble she was.
yeah.
That is really, really good to actually speak to a
Mhm.
survivor that has
Yeah.
gone through all those crazy tests. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
But
yeah, to have all those surgeries in such a short time. But anyway, you have 2 minutes left too.
yeah,
Into the show.
in the next 2 minutes, folks, I just want to draw your attention to
Mhm.
this program that we have running. It's an affiliated, not affiliated
minute.
program, as a matter of fact. It is a cooperative program. It's for people who would like to build real estate, obtain real estate through a cooperative process, because homelessness is such a terrible thing in our
Mhm.
communities. And we have municipalities that's talking about ways to combat this situation that's called homelessness. So if you'd like to find out more about OTCI, Ontario Tenant Cooperative, Inc., feel free to go to the website, otci.ca. It's a member-driven
Fair
program
profit.
for fair profit business.
Mhm.
And we are planning to provide member services and develop real estate for the underdeserved individuals. So with that, I am going to take, we are both going to take our leave.
What
If
if
you
you
missed
missed
any
it,
of our
right?
shows, please tune into Spotify, Facebook, or even YouTube. Type in Liquid Green Health Show and everything will come up there. So
Actually,
to
I'm
end
not
the show,
sure. Were we on Facebook today?
Yeah, we were.
We were
We
on
were.
Facebook. Yeah.
So to end the show, I can hear the music playing in the
Yeah.
background. Good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth, even economic process. All as healthy individuals, you are more productive and even live longer lives. So until next Sunday, same time, same station, this is Jonathan Fred Cox saying, let's stay healthy.
Healthy. You're listening to
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.